Hey guys, Pete here. So I was looking through the gaggle of Game of Thrones Season 7 alerts I get each day, and I noticed various different articles about the Sansa quote at the end of the new trailer. Apparently people are speculating that it means one of the Starks are going to die this season, and some of the articles even go as far as to say Jon will die. So I decided to make a short video to talk about the quote itself, where it came from, and the context of where it shows up in the books. There's really no spoilers here because it's a rebuttal to speculation based on stuff we've seen, so I'm not going to talk about anything that would be spoilery. First things first, we have to go into the source material here, and then I'll explain a theory that I've been kicking around that since I've been watching all the stuff that's come out between Season 6 and Season 7. The quote actually isn't from Sansa herself. It's not a Sansa original, if you will. The quote comes from her father, Eddard, or Ned, and he says it in the book Game of Thrones to Arya. It happens when Arya is 9 and she's upset about the direwolf lady and her friend Micah, the butcher's boy, who were both killed. She locks herself in her room after not eating her dinner, so Ned has to go talk to her. Long story short, after they talk about where she got her sword needle and how she had to throw rocks at Nymeria to get her to run away, Ned delivers the line. He says, "Let me tell you something about wolves, child. When the snows fall and the white winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. Summer is the time for squabbles. In winter, we must protect one another, keep each other warm, share our strengths." This stuck with Arya, so much so that she thinks of it later on during her adventures away from her family. In the second book, A Clash of Kings, it comes to her while she's at Harrenhal, where she's basically, serving girl for Roose Bolton. Long story short here, she's thinking of running away, so she's out and about, and she kneels in front of the heart tree there and asks the gods what to do. While she's listening, she hears a lonely howl of a wolf, and then it's like she hears her father's voice say, "When the snow falls and the white winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives." So she remembers the exact same part that we hear Sansa saying, not all the other stuff, but it's really not important, at least at this point, because she's thinking about, her connection to wolves, to her wolf's blood, basically, the blood of her family, the blood of her father. The quote comes up again in A Feast for Crows, and at this period, she's traveling to Braavos, and then it comes up then, and it also comes up after she starts her training. Here, the meaning, or at least what she thinks about when she thinks about her father's words, is starting to change. At this point in her life, she thinks that the pack is dead. As far as she knows, pretty much everyone she loves is dead or gone. So she starts to think that her father had it wrong, and that she, as the lone wolf, has to survive. Fast forward to the current state of things in the show, she's left Braavos, killed Walder Frey, and from what we've seen is headed north towards Winterfell. More of her family is still alive than she actually realized, and they are back at Winterfell, or in the case of Bran, he's on his way. We have to believe that she would have renewed faith in what her father had told her at this point. So that's the origin of the phrase and where we're at. Jon and Sansa are currently holding Winterfell. Jon is now the king in the north, like Robb was before him. And as we saw in the Winter is Here trailer, Bran is on his way there. So, does it matter that it's Sansa saying it, or who, if anyone, she might be saying it to? Well, sure, but honestly, we can't really figure that stuff out. It's a voiceover, and there's no extra clues to say who or what is going on, who she's saying it to or what's going on at that time. Theoretically, it could be a trailer-only thing that they recorded for the trailer. I mean, I don't really think that, but that's possible as well. But regardless, it's mixed into with the trailer, and they're not trying to give much away. They're trying to pique our interest, right? So here's where my theory comes in, and I have read a little bit of this coming out in some of the stuff that people are writing, which gives me a little more confidence that it could be right. What I think is it's misdirection. Sure, they have words over what looks like an injured Jon riding off alone north of the wall, and they have been having Sophie Turner, discussing all this stuff in interviews about Sansa's dark side and all this stuff, and they've been kind of really trying to put that out there, that there's maybe some tension between Jon and Sansa, and that there might be some tension at Winterfell between the Starks. But think about it a little bit. I mean, last year, what did we hear the most before the season? We kept hearing that Jon is dead. And while that was technically true, what most people were concerned about was not whether he was dead, but whether he was going to come back. And I think a lot of people who read the books really kind of got the idea of how important Jon was by the time he died. But as far as the casual viewer was concerned, I think that there was some definite skepticism about whether he might come back or not. So, they really put that out there. When the trailers came out, there was no Jon because there couldn't be any Jon. He was dead, so on and so forth. So way back when, right after season 6 ended, that was the first season 7 video that I made, was about the fact that they were talking about this tension between Jon and Sansa, and it keeps coming up. If you look at all the articles that Sophie Turner's done, it just keeps coming up that maybe something's going on, maybe Sansa's really enjoying the little bit of power she's getting now, and that she, they're basically making you think, well, would she take over, or would she try to take over? Whose side is she really on? But if we look at the context of the quote, where it came from, and then, because this is honestly, I was completely surprised when I saw this, that people thought that, because when I saw it, what struck me about the quote is that Littlefinger, we know, will be trying to put a wedge in between the Starks. That's what he does. He wants to be with Sansa. He wants her power. He doesn't like Jon being named king in the North. We saw all that at the end of season 6, right? So the way I interpreted this at the end of the trailer was that it was Sansa reaffirming that the Starks have to stick together. That's what Ned said. That's why he said it. And even though he didn't say it to Sansa, she was involved because her little sister was really angry at her. So, I don't know where it comes in. I don't know if Arya comes back and she says this and then Sansa repeats it to Littlefinger later. I really don't know any of that. But what I do know is that I don't think that any of the Starks are going to die, especially Jon, because they can't just kill Jon every so often and expect it to have any meaning. So, my thought is just that. Sansa is saying that because, yeah, they might drift apart under the influence of Littlefinger, but in the end, they're all going to have to work together, just as the families outside of Winterfell are going to have to work together against this threat. The Starks are going to have to work together because the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. So they need to be a pack, right? Let me know what you guys think. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. I am planning on putting out a spoiler version of the trailer breakdown, so be looking for that. Make sure you subscribe and tick the little bell there so you get notifications, because there's going to be plenty of Game of Thrones material coming out on the lead up to season 7. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.